Here's a look at the latest MaxPreps high school football rankings. Taking a look at the top 10. Not much movement at the top as number 1 IMG Academy was idle last week, but we did have a new team join the top 10 in Denton Ryan out of Texas. Going further down the board and looking at teams 11 through 20, we had a bunch of movement. Check out Pinkerton Central moving up 4 spots, after improving to 11-0, and how about Colquitt County in Georgia jumping from outside the top 25 to number 12 in the rankings. What a move! Let's talk about this with our MaxPreps experts. Joining me now is the Director of Programming, Steve Montoya, and National Football Editor, Zack Poff. Zack, that was a huge win for Colquitt County over Lowndes. But what decision led to bump them all the way up to number 12?
Yeah, I mean, well, Lowndes was number 7 before that 40-10 loss. But, Colquitt County was a team. They were the first one out there at number 26. And then you go and beat number 7 Lowndes like that. That's not just the most impressive win of last weekend. I would say that's the most impressive win of the 2020 season so far we have seen. Colquitt County won that game right from the start, and they didn't let up at all throughout all 4 quarters. I'm super impressed with their quarterback, man, Xavier Williams. This dude's been balling this season, one of the most underrated quarterbacks, not just in Georgia, but in high school football. And you look at Lowndes, man, they only had 1 loss before that one over the last 2 years, and that came in the 7A state championship game against a very talented Marietta squad, and that was by 1 score. We haven't seen Lowndes lose like this for a while. They were able to limit Ja'Curry Brown, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the class of 2022. And Colquitt County's defense, man, they came to ball. TJ Spradley had a couple of INTs. Jaheim Ward had a pick 6, and the offense was rolling, man. Colquitt County showed they're a serious threat, not just to win, go undefeated during the regular season, but to compete and maybe win that 7A state title. Grayson's looking pretty good, but Colquitt County said, hey, guys, we're right here too.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Zach, I mean, the Georgia 7A playoffs, which begins, we got 1 more regular season week, then that begins. You got a stacked lineup in the state of Georgia. Like Zach said, I mean, Grayson is there. You got Colquitt County and a lot more. So this should be exciting times when the postseason hits in the state of Georgia.
Looking at the rankings 21 through 25, we had another unranked team move into the cream of the crop this week, and that was Cedar Hill out of Texas. They just took down DeSoto and have a big matchup against Duncansville on Friday. Steve, talk to me about this Cedar Hill team. How impressive are they?
Yeah, I mean, what an exciting game this past week between previously ranked DeSoto at number 25. This was back and forth. You got a 49-42 win there, and this just shows how good Tennessee commit Kaden Salter is. I mean, this kid put up nearly 400 yards on offense, 6 touchdowns, and he's just really another great quarterback from the Lone Star State. I mean, we saw what Patrick Mahomes did on Sunday and Kyler Murray. Kaden Salter's one of those kids, man. He could be next up in the state of Texas. And Zach, it's going to be really exciting to see what he can do against a very good Duncanville team.
Yeah, because you look at Duncanville, and they got arguably not just the best defense in Texas, but they're right up there with any team in high school football. But yeah, you brought up Kaden Salter, man. I talked about Colquitt County's win was the most impressive. When you talk about an individual performance last weekend, I would say Kaden Salter was the most impressive player in high school football. He had nearly 400 yards of total offense, rushed for 4 touchdowns, threw for 2 scores against a very talented DeSoto squad. And if Cedar Hill can go back-to-back weeks, beat DeSoto, and then come back and beat Duncanville, you could see them jump as high as into the top 10 in next week's rankings. But I'm a big fan of Kaden Salter, man. He showed why he's one of the top-rated quarterbacks in the class of 2021.
All right, let's close with the final team in the rankings, and that is Tompkins out of Texas. They're now 6-0 after beating Katy for the first time. That 24-19 win snapped a 75-game district win streak. Zach, just how big of a win was that?
It was the biggest win in program history for Katy Tompkins, man. Katy is a team that's had their number. They've been beating them pretty big, pretty handily over the last few years. Last year, Tompkins nearly beat Katy, and this year they finally got it done. The last time Katy lost a district game was all the way back in November 2008. So that just shows you how dominant Katy has been in that district. But Tompkins, man, they've been on the rise the last few years. They've won 10-plus games in each of the last 2 years, and they're well on their way to do it again for a 3rd consecutive year. And it all starts with the quarterback, Alabama commit Jalen Milroe. This kid is just a big-time playmaker. Whenever Tompkins needed to play against a big-time Katy defense, he made it. The biggest play of the game came in the 3rd quarter. It was 4th and 17, and Milroe was able to throw a touchdown, and that really kind of iced the game. That gave them a 24-13 lead, and they're able to kind of ride that out. But I'm super impressed with Jalen Milroe. They got a bunch of other dudes, but it all starts with the 4-star quarterback under center.
Yeah, and Texas is just so deep this year. I mean, we have 7 teams from the state in the top 25. We could see a lot more teams jumping up, leaving, because that's just how good Texas is. And what's crazy is we have several more weeks of regular season play in the 5A and 6A, and then we won't see a state champion crown until January 15th and 16th in the larger classification. So we have a lot more football to go in the state of Texas.
A lot more football to go around the country. Excellent work, gentlemen, and thank you for breaking these things down for us. As we mentioned earlier, Cedar Hill against Duncansville is one of the biggest high school football games this weekend. Here's a look at the rest of the action. If you're looking for full breakdowns on these games, head over to MaxPreps.com for more from Steve and Zach.